Let's start by taking a look at the crime scene. The number of people who knew I was hiding Shikasa Tokiko in the room was extremely limited. Kosuke Kazuna and I carried her to my room and looked after her. Then there was Aoki Toji, who came to my room to deliver a name list of Senri members. To be certain of those 3 people. There may have been people who saw us carry her over, but that neighborhood is part of Toji's turf. It's hard to imagine one of her people squealing on us to Senri. So in essence, I had temporarily secured Shikasa Tokiko's immediate safety. I stopped for a moment to see Ashima-san's reaction. However, there's absolutely no change. He's just silently listening to what I have to say. And I resumed my speech once again. After I heard all about Senri's internal affairs from her, I met with a certain man to try and negotiate her protection, as well as expose the church. Of course, that person was none other than you, Arashima-san. The moment those words came out of my mouth, I feel a twinge of pain deep within my heart. Shikasa Tokiko died due to my negligence. I told Arashima-san about her whereabouts, the very man who was looking to take her life. I'm the one who summoned the Grim Reaper for her. The guilt feels like a ball of lead in my stomach. Brings back memories of the words Akao had screamed at me.
全部あなたのせいですよ。
それから
I continue, prompted by Arashima-san's words. Well, you were able to get Shikasa Tokiko's condition out of me. That's right. At that time, Arashima-san learned 3 pieces of information. Conveniently for you, Toji and I were away from the room. We were the ones who might have caused any trouble. In addition, Kazuna, who was in shock from hearing of her sister's death, had run away. Shikasa Tokiko was sleeping in there all by herself. And one last thing, Toji had one of her henchmen stationed in front of the door, keeping guard over the entrance. You left your seat for a moment during the middle of our conversation, right? Uh-huh.
しばらく外で頭を冷やしてくれ。一服したら戻る
It's
から。
exactly what I had expected.
シュウはここで待っていてくれ。
The fact that he had said, you just wait here, it's like, oh, it's something you don't want Shugo to see. It's something you don't want him a part of. But you didn't go have a smoke. You instead contacted Senri headquarters and ordered them to deal with Shikasa Tokiko. Well, am I wrong? What Shikasa Tokiko didn't know about was your involvement with the cult. Something probably only Akao and the leader knew. Which means that the only people you allowed to act during that time were those 2. You used them to think of a way to make it look like Shikasa Tokiko committed suicide. And this is how your plan worked. You had them wait nearby my apartment, then kidnap Kazuna on her way back. Oh, and you stole her clothes. The person who carried this out was probably Akao, as he and Kazuna were friends, and she wouldn't think it strange if he approached her. Next you had the leader's body double, the woman named Hyo by the Hand of Death. You had to pretend to be Kazuna and head to my room. Of course, she was probably wearing Kazuna's clothes at that point. Because Hyo was Yura's body double, which means their faces were pretty much similar, which means that it would be entirely possible for Toji's man to be mistaken for Kazuna. To sum it up, the person who came to my room was not Kazuna, but in fact another person who looked like her.
その女が仕草時子の首を吊るしたと。
Well, she was thin and emaciated from her drug habit, plus her exhaustion caused her to sleep pretty heavily. One person alone would probably have been enough to make it look like a suicide. It seems like a rather sloppy plan, though. For such a hastily scrapped together plan, it seems nearly miraculous they were able to pull it off. What's more, the plan would have been fundamentally screwed if Kazuna had come back or they hadn't been able to find Kazuna in town. What would they have done in those situations?
確かにその方法なら仕草時子を自殺に見せかけるのも可能だな。
Kazuna would be the only other option. She's not a killer, or did she have any reason to kill? What's more, it was in your best interest for the investigation to quickly label her death as a suicide. Some people might have thought it suspicious, but at the very least it would buy you some valuable time.
なるほど。確かに話の筋は通っている。だが肝心なものが欠けているな。
Eh?
証拠。そして動機だ。
Fuck your evidence.
所詮お前の話は単なる推測に過ぎず、状況証拠とも呼べないだろう。それだけの推測で私を犯人と呼ぶのなら、お前の嫌いな軍警察と何ら変わらないと思うが。
It's because you were the core of that group of 3.
ほう。
Very few people know about you. You thought you could make it if you worked fast. That's why you needed to make a witness like her exit the stage as quietly as possible. That's why Arashima didn't try to say anything, right? After Yaganuma had booked him for Takako's murder. Because he was hoping that Shugo didn't have a viable alibi. Right? That's why he didn't come to Shugo's defense when Yaganuma was like, hey, get this guy out of here, alright? We're trying to investigate. This guy shouldn't be around. Now Arashima's like, yeah, no, you're right. He shouldn't be around. Get out of here, Shugo. That's why Arashima brings Yaganuma around, right? Yaganuma's not in on it. We know this well enough from Kara no Shoujo that Yaganuma is just genuinely a detective. He's a total asshole, an absolute prick, but he is a detective who does his work, right? But Arashima was using him as a pawn to be like, oh, God, I'm sorry, Shugo, my hands are tied. Big detective guy over here saying, yo, we gotta do it this way, so we gotta do it this way. Believe me, I'd help you if I could. But no. It was also you could buy time to erase the traces linking yourself to the cult. Silence is the only reply I get from him. Arashima-san's face is shrouded in shadows, and I can't see what kind of expression he's making right now. You know, I always thought something was fishy from the very beginning. Start linking all the puzzle pieces together as I talk. An ex-special forces soldier, Akao Ikuma, girl belonging to a well-known family in Zishi, Kosuke Yura, and a new religion established in Ueno called Senri. No matter how much I investigated, connections between those three entities just wouldn't show up. Akao Ikuma and Kosuke Yura suddenly showed up in Ueno 2 years ago, seizing the reins of power behind Senri. Is Arashima linked to the one who's linked to the research sanatorium people? Under normal circumstances, those three entities wouldn't have crossed each other's paths, so what happened that tied their fates together? That's something that's always been a mystery to me. Arashima-san doesn't do so much as budge. The breeze blowing through makes the candles flicker, causing our shadows to expand and contract. Well, I just figured that out. It meant that there was someone at the core of the group.
それが私だというのか。
Yep.
バカバカしい。ひどい言いがかり。
Sorry, but I went ahead and investigated your background, Arashima-san. I forcibly interrupted him in mid-sentence. The Special Forces unit Akao was part of. It was a questionable operation that enhanced human physical abilities and senses for combat purposes.
第三帝国の影響だな。オカルティズムへの傾倒は当時の軍部には魅力的に見えたのだろう。
He allows himself a derisive chuckle. That's where you met Akao. You were his commanding officer in that unit, Arashima-san. There, your name was different at that time, right? Before you married into the Arashima family, you were Narahashi. Narahashi Kazuma. The same one that bought Yura, okay. In other words, you lived an entirely different life before we met in the battlefield, right?
これはこれは。
A hint of admiration creeps into Arashima-san's voice.
この短い時間によく調べたものだな。
Doji and Madame Mujaka helped me out. I had a buddy down at headquarters assist me as well. Continue with my story. Truth is, I remembered hearing that name before. Happened when I was at the Kosuke estate in Zishi, getting filled in on Yura's past. There was once a young researcher who came to Kosuke estate after hearing rumors about Kosuke Yura. He requested their cooperation in using her in experiments.
奴の名前は覚えている。この話を持ってきたその機関の研究員という男だ。
So Arashima was the big... I knew the tie that bound everyone together, but I was pinning everything on Akao, which is exactly what Arashima wanted. It wasn't until that right at the end during their little cafe conversation that Arashima finally became suspicious to me. During that last little conversation, Arashima became suspicious to me. Okay. But I knew where the right ties were, just pinning them on the wrong person.
その男の名前は
According to Kosuke Keiichiro, he called himself Narahashi Kazuma. It's probably impossible to find any other point where Akao Ikuma and Kosuke Yura's lives intersect. In essence, you were undoubtedly the person who brought them together. Arashima-san suddenly breaks the silence.
これはまたえらくカビの生えた過去を引っ張り出してきたものだ。
So you're admitting that it's true. With a twisted grin plastered on his face, Arashima-san mutters almost cheerfully. And Fukamizu, or Kaoru, the church lady, she had that pendant, right? That Narahashi family pendant. And we saw that Akao has that same pendant. During his little fight scenes with Toji, we saw he had that same pendant. So Kaoru was probably another person who was part of this, like, program, right? And that's why she was surprisingly such a more difficult fight than Toji had expected. Because she was part of this special program that enhanced, human physical abilities.
まあそこまでは認めても構わないな。友人二人を引き合わせただけだ。私、それから千里教はどうなんだ？
Oh, we'll get there, buddy.
千里教を使って裏金を得ていたというが、私はそんな団体に関わりを持った覚えはない。
I have proof.
ほう。
It's on the Senri name list Toji obtained. I gave one to you in the afternoon. Do you still have it on you?
いや、手元にはないな。
So it's safely tucked away at the station as evidence, or did you just dispose of it? He shrugs. Whatever. There's no need for you to answer that. I got another spare copy from Toji anyway. Pull out the thick envelope from my pocket. There's a conclusive piece of evidence here that links you to Senri. Arashima Yukino. Your wife, correct? Arashima-san shows a very slight reaction. A tired smile spreads across his sunken cheeks. The silence is finally broken by his hearty laughter.
お前というやつはそんなくだらないことをよくも調べ上げるものだな。
Those are the very skills you hammered into me time and time again.
そうそう。
Arashima-san's tone takes on a curious inflection as he mutters.
昔からお前は妙に勘だけは鋭かったな。そんなところも。
Slowly pulls his right hand out of his coat
私は知って
pocket.
いたんだが皮肉なものだな。その勘の良さがお前の命を
Yeah, one thing you didn't count on. I too have gun. It's a shiny black, well-worn Type 14 Nambu revolver. Calmly aims the barrel of the gun right toward the left side of my chest. Let's see how it is. Could have killed me anytime you wanted to, so I was so damn relaxed the whole time. Well, that's the case, I've got to keep talking. Where did she vanish to, I wonder? I asked, staring down the barrel of his gun. Always quavers a bit. Is it from excitement, or perhaps fear? I already asked one of my connections down at the Ueno station. We're down there seeing your wife in a long, long time. Never seemed worried or submitted a search request. It's not because you got a divorce or anything. Your disappearance coincided with the time period in which Senri was undergoing rapid growth and expansion. If this coincidence points to anything, huh?
別に大した意味などない。私を裏切った連中をこの手で制裁してやっただけだ。
What did you say?
殺したと言ったんだよ。
I fucking killed her!
仕草道夫も私がこの手でな。
Oh. Yukino was Tokiko's mother, wasn't she? Okay. Okay. Yukino was Tokiko's mother. And since Michio had gotten her knocked up because she was one of his disciples, right? Ah. I had a feeling that the former leader Shigesa Michio was no longer in that mortal realm. The same for Arashima Kazma's wife, Yukino.
確かお前も言っていたな。初代教師ジョブ私はこの目で見たよ。あの肥満した肉の塊が私の妻の上で腰を振っていくのをな。愕然として祖国を守るために戦地に赴き、反任務が終わり帰ってきたら、なあ修吾、バカバカしいとは思わんか。私たちが戦場で命を賭している時に、あの豚どもは自分勝手によがり狂っていたんだぞ。まったくバカバカしい。あまりのことに腹渡がよじれるぐらい笑ったよ。
But you killed them. Air gunshot coupled with a scorching pain burning its way through my left shoulder.
あの女は死ぬまでに4発かかった。さて、修吾、お前はどうだ？
He's playing around with me. I can see it in that twisted grin of his. He's not going to end my life quickly. That's just how rotten the depths of his heart have become. Well, that's going to be his undoing. He's going to put some lead in you, and he's not expecting you to have a piece of your own, and then just boom. Gotcha, bitch. This is exactly what I want. Yup. I look up while biting down on my lip. That's when you got your first glimpse of Senri. Do my best to brace myself against the pain. Gotta keep talking until I draw my last breath. Why did you think of trying to control Senri from behind the scenes? At this point, it doesn't seem like you're lusting for money or anything.
それは買いかぶりというものだ。私はただの俗物。金と権力以外に望むものなどないが。
However, he says, his lips twisting into a grin.
しかし、まあ、強いてあげるなら、いつまでも使われる身でいることに、この国はいつまで経っても変わらない。たとえ戦争に負けても、真に席を追うべき者たちは、見苦しく己の地位にしがみついて、私たちのように命を賭して戦った人間をいとも簡単に切り捨てた。妻も祖国も、私が命がけで守ってきたものは一体何だったんだ。何もかもバカバカしくなったんだよ。
You killed Shigusa Michio and stole his tiny little kingdom for a trivial reason like that. Another burning flash of pain, this time in my right knee.
人聞きが悪いな。口を慎んで。
Shima-san shrugs, causing the barrel of the gun to sway.
あの男は喜んで私に全てを譲ってくれたよ。見苦しいぐらいの命乞いとともにな。
Pain forced me to sink to my knees. No, not yet. I can't let myself fall. So you used your former support, Akao Ikuma, as your puppet. And you welcomed your former research subject, Kosuke Yura, into Senri. I say, trying to endure the pain. My work here is not yet finished.
ああ、頭のいかれた赤尾はともかく、あの娘が手に入ったのは幸運だったな。研究所から戻された娘は誰に使われることもなく家族によって監禁されていた。
So, you're the one who spirited Yura away from the Koskis.
当然だろう。あの盲目の娘が誰も頼る者のいない町で生き残れるはず。千里教の教師としてあの娘の力を利用するためだったが、もっともそれも赤尾の暴走によって全てが無駄になってしまった。
You mean bizarre serial murders that took place in Ueno this past month?
全ては順調に進んでいたんだがね。あの娘の力の影響を受けて正気を失った赤尾が全て現実と妄想の境界が揺らいでしまった。あの男にとって教授の予言を実現することが目的の全てとなり、まあ、この辺りの経緯はお前が仕草時子から聞いた通りだ。そこに転がっている双子も大方赤尾が予言の記述に従って、さらに悪いことに仕草時子がお前を頼って教団の内情を暴露しようとしている。私は悩んだよ。どう立ち回るべきかをね。
You ended up choosing this? Get all the crimes on Akao and erase all records of yourself and Senri. It's actually kind of lame. Something cuts through the air beneath my ear. I reach up to brush my cheek and my hand comes away stained crimson.
図に乗るなよ、シュウ。お前ごときに同情されるほど私は安くないぞ。
My former mentor glares at me, his face a hideous mask. Shima-san. I address the man in front of me. His heart has become warped beyond all recognition. Please, just give yourself up.
なんだと。
A look of surprise steals over his features. Your heart is not yet beyond salvation. It's not too late. Just come with me and...
動くな、シュウ。
The impact of a bullet in my left thigh causing me to topple over. The pain is so intense I can't even see straight. I grip my teeth. Shima-san's shots are unerringly accurate. That's why I have no choice but to keep moving forward. I force myself to take a step forward through the pain. I creep directly toward the slightly trembling barrel of the gun he has aimed at me. Shima-san, I don't want to see you like this. Slowly, practically in a whisper, I start talking to my former boss, the man I always looked up to, the man who raised me out of the dirt after I'd come home from war with no place to go. You know, I've always admired you. I can tell that my time is running out. My life is slowly leaking out through the holes in my body. I'm not going to give up. The work here is not yet finished. You were the one shining ray of light among all those corrupt cops. You were just, kind, intelligent. I can't believe all that was a lie. I don't want to believe it was a lie.
黙れ
Old growl works out his way between Arashima-san's tightly clenched lips.
あんなものはただの偽善だよ余計な疑いを持たれないために善良な刑事を装っていたに過ぎない心の中ではいつも笑っていたよバカバカしい偽善を演じる自分もそれを無邪気に信じるお前のことも
Even so, you were the man I wanted to be. You will always be the man I want to be. Please, Arashima-san. It's not too late. Just come with me and...
黙れ
As he screams at me, the bullet from his fifth shot ricochets off the floor and near my feet. I stop and look up to see.
さてそろそろ終わりにしよう
He places the muzzle against my forehead. Arashima-san.
シュウ私もそこまでバカではないしかし残念だったなお前の相棒の青木当地といったか赤尾と共に本殿に残ったのだろうあの建物の中は今頃死の海
Which is dead. No body freezes.
だまあ手間が省けた必死に話を長引かせていた
You ain't know I got a piece on
灯
me.
籠だ
He slowly reaches for the trigger. State my right shoulder's in. I probably won't be able to handle the gun Tochi gave me. Well, come on, Shugo, you killed my hype. Totally expected you to like just. I don't know what I expected. Man, will all our hard work be for nothing in the end? Just as Arashima-san claims, Yaginuma. Because remember, Yaginuma got his promotion, right? In Kado no Shoujo, he got his promotion after solving like some big case, right? I close my eyes, resigning myself to my fate.
お別れだなシュウ
His calm voice resonates within my blurry field of vision. However, the shot that's supposed to pull my brains out never comes. Feels like Arashima-san's just holding his breath.
お前は
Open my eyes to see Arashima-san with a stricken look on his face, holding on to his right hand. His gun gliders to the ground near his feet, and directly in front of him is... Yup.
いや先輩、遅くなってすいませんね。まさに危機一髪といったところですか
I'm like, hold up. Let's think about it. If Shugo can't fire his weapon, who could possibly come save the day? And like I said, Yaginuma wasn't a corrupt one. He's a fucking prick with a twisted mind himself, but he's not a corrupt one. Not like that. And I started thinking, like, I don't remember the exact specifics, but they mentioned he had gotten a promotion in Kado no Shoujo. And I'm imagining it's because he takes the glory for this case, right? Yeah. Detective Yaginuma has a faint smile on his lips as he stands with his pistol aimed at Arashima-san. So I'm almost willing to bet at this point now that Shugo had contacted Yaginuma, right?
おやおや先輩、危機一髪どころか全身穴だらけじゃないですか。いや間に合ってよかった。
As Yaginuma guffaws triumphantly, Arashima-san looks from him to me and growls.
シュウ私をはめたのか
Damn, imagine setting someone up. You act like such a fucking surprise. I'd call it more of a gamble. I asked Yaginuma to back me up when I went to Ueno Station to ask questions about your past. I didn't think he'd actually believe me. Well, so I'd ask him to confess. I'd probably end up dying if I failed to persuade Arashima-san.
ひどいな。もっと後輩のことを信用してくださいよ。僕たち警察は犯罪者を捕まえるためにいるんじゃありませんか。まあ目障りな上司が消えて僕には手柄が手に入る。 という美味しい側面もありますが。
As Yaganuma chuckles in merriment, you hear a large number of footsteps pounding down the hallway.
おっと来たみ
And
たい
that's
です。
how Toji survived. Because Yaganuma brought the forces, right?
実は途中で火事がありましてね。署の他の連中は
Yep.
そっちに手を取られていたんですよ。
Arashima-san chooses this time to act.
おい動くな。
黙れ若造。この後に及んで私が見苦しく抵抗すると思うのか。
Yaganuma flinches for a split second from Arashima-san shouting. Arashima-san used that time to calmly bend down and pick up the gun lying at his feet. He's only got one bullet left. Arashima-san.
つまり私は負けたということだな。
Can't think of anything to say in return.
何？お前を責める気はないよ。ただ一つだけ忠告しておこう。つけ込まれるなよ。修吾。
Arashima-san. He closes his eyes. Then... God damn. A bunch of detectives mill about in front of me. I sit dazed in the corner of the dimly lit room. It's all over. As the echoes from the gunshot faded, they were replaced by the thump of a body collapsing to the ground. With that simple noise came the end of the man who controlled Senri, Arashima Kasuma, as well as the end of the nightmarish murders that plagued Ueno. But for some reason, I don't feel that sense of relief that tells me it's all over. Well, yeah, we didn't find Kazna. Ours filled with pangs of regret and an empty feeling of powerlessness. Rin, Takako-chan, Shigusa Tokiko, and finally, Arashima-san. My precious friends with whom I had spent my life. I wanted to protect them at any cost. But in the end, it wasn't something I was able to do. Sir, I just want to say you listed Tokiko here, and then said, my precious friends with whom I had spent my life. You spent like 2 days with her. You were not precious friends. Same with you knew her for like a couple of days, honestly, the same. It was just a couple of days spread out over several years. I guess if you want to call her a precious friend, sure. Rin is like the only one who was a precious friend who you spent a good chunk of your life with. Along with Arashima-san, obviously, but listen, maybe I'm just a diehard Rin defender, but don't lump these two in with her. All right? And especially don't lump her in with these two. I'm just saying. Maybe that's just me. Wait, there's still one more person. There you go. I get to my feet and attempt to run out of the room, which is saturated with the smell of blood and gunpowder.
おいおい先輩、あんたの傷も普通じゃないんだから、あんまり動かないでくれませんか?
Yaganuma stands in front of me, blocking my way. I can still move. Get out of my way. Shove him aside and drag myself forward.
やれやれ、僕は知りませんからね。死んでも自己責任でお願いしますよ。
I can hear him chuckling behind me. In reality, my pains turn to dull numbness. The only thing that fills my head is a burning sense of urgency. That's right. There's still something I'm hoping for. She'll just be safe and sound. And the moment I get into the hallway...
おい、こっちにも人がいるぞ。
The urgent cry comes from farther down the corridor. I run towards Storjin. My pulse begins to race. Pushing detectives out of my way, I dash into the room. Kazna! And... Feels like time has stopped altogether. Hear the roar of my heart pounding noisily in my ears. Cold sweat breaks out over my body. Even at this distance, I can see that there's blood flowing out from her eyes. Does she meet the same fate as Kayuki and her sister? Though I feel like I'm about to collapse, I force myself to walk to her side. The detective grabs my shoulder and says something to me, but I brush him aside. Kazna! No answer. I gingerly reach out and use a finger to wipe off the drops of blood on her eyelid. I don't think it's from her eyes, it's probably from a head wound after she got knocked out. Her cheeks are ice cold, an oppressive feeling of despair fills my heart. Also, that's probably not Kazna. Oh, actually, yeah, it's probably the body double, now that I think about it. Right. Because the body double would have returned back to the place with Harashima-san. Probably the body double. He did some things to her. If she's dead, it's definitely the body double. We know Kazuna's not dead. I tenderly use my finger to do the same to her other eyelid. It's like touching a block of ice. Run my trembling fingers down her cheek, nose, lips. Wait, what was that? I feel a faint breath on my fingertips. Quickly pick her arm up, check for a pulse. It's there, albeit very weak. Jeez. Alive? Strength drains out of my body. Sighing relief, I sink to my knees next to Kazuna. And then the wave of dizziness hits. My attention melts away, only to be replaced by the pain from my gunshot wounds. The detectives nearby shout, "Doctor, get these to a doctor." It's followed by the sounds of people milling about. Through what shreds of consciousness I have left, I send out a silent plea. Somebody, please hurry and save her. I hear the footsteps of people pouring into the room. I don't even get the chance to check who they are, as my consciousness chooses that moment to fade. The epilogue. The true epilogue. Catastrophe. Damn, that's... 2 frenetic weeks have passed. The wounds Toji and I sustained didn't end up being as serious as they initially appeared. The doctor said that all the bullets passed clean through and that there was very little damage to my internal organs. In fact, the bruises Toji received all over her body were far more serious and would take quite a while to heal. However, all our injuries pale in comparison to Kazuna's. The eye wounds she got from Akao were deep, and for a period of time they were worried that the area near her brain would get infected. Fortunately, her surgery was a success, and looks like she won't end up losing her eyesight. Kazuna was discharged from the hospital to get some rest at home. She still hasn't opened her eyes. With troubled expressions on their faces, the doctors had explained. We're pretty much at a complete loss. Her mind's received such a huge shock that it refuses to let her open her eyes. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Kazuna. Upon hearing my voice, Kazuna's face lifts slightly. The edges of her mouth soften a bit. Can't really see her face behind all the bandages wrapped around her eyes. Despite that, I get a reassuring vibe from her. Yeah. I nod, then take a seat in a chair next to her bed. Kazuna faces the direction my voice comes from, a faint smile playing about her lips. Is a guy like me really someone she can depend on? In any case, a lot of tragedies have befallen us in this short window of time. To Kazuna, as well as the people around us. It's pretty obvious that she needs people around to support her. So I force myself to sound cheerful and say, "How are you feeling? Everything fine? Do I need something? Remember you saying you didn't really have an appetite yesterday?" That's too bad. Brought some goodies for you today, too. Kazuna sounds somewhat troubled. Take a look at the table next to us. There's a mountain of assorted fruits piled up there that haven't been touched. Oh well, whatever. Pull out today's sweets and leave them on top of the table. Hey, did you know, Kazuna? These are called half-killed. They had a ton of them in the gift shop in front of the station, so I bought some. Actually kind of a specialty around here. Don't worry, I didn't get them to make fun of the condition Toji and I have been for the last half month or anything. It'd make me happy if you go ahead and laugh or something. Kazuna's at a loss for words. Kazuna? I let out a small sigh and continue. Still can't remember anything? Oh, really? She nods, her shoulders slumped in despair. Guess this is also the after effects of the murders. All the memories Kazuna had from around the time she was kidnapped by Akao have completely vanished. Okay. Those memories. I thought, like, total amnesia. Like, whoa. I quickly search for words to soothe Kazuna as she's looking pretty sad at the moment. Nah, there's no need to rush. Just take things at your own pace and try to remember. The worst is behind us anyhow. After conversing for a while, Kazuna tells me she's tired and lies down. I remain seated at her bedside, looking into her bandage-swathed face. Her fatigue must be contagious, because my mind's feeling pretty fuzzy as well. I can hear Kazuna breathing in and out at regular intervals. Looks like she's fallen asleep. The breeze coming in from the window ruffles her bangs. Even though it's practically spring, the outside air remains quite chilly. I stand up quietly and close the half-open window. Extending my hand toward her forehead, I rearrange Kazuna's hair. She's still breathing peacefully. After watching her for a little while longer, I exit the room. I realize that the wide open hallways of the Koski Manor are completely silent. All I can hear is the lonely sounding rattling of the windows. The place has been like this ever since I started visiting a week ago. It's a cold, dead, empty house. It feels as though it's completely cut off from the daily hustle and bustle of the world. Why on earth did Kazna want to recover in a place like this? I thought it'd be a burden to my mother if I stayed at her place in Kanda. It's how she explained it to me, but I just can't picture the Koski estate as a very comfortable place to live. Besides, the bad blood between the Koskis has become a major part of this tragedy. Koski Hiroko has severed her ties with the Koski family, causing her ex-husband Keiichiro to sink into depression. Oh damn. He now spends his days between his own room and his daughter's, hardly ever showing up to work. When we run into each other, there's no sign of his former arrogance. Instead, Keiichiro averts his eyes and walks away. The servants hold their breath and go about their daily chores as though nothing happened. I suppose it's inevitable. After all, the tragedy has only just passed. It'll probably take some time for the people who were involved to return to any normal state of mind. Of course, that includes me as well. As I walk through the eerily silent hallways, my mind wanders back to the events of 2 weeks ago. Senri, the organization that had committed the series of bizarre murders, underwent a complete collapse following the deaths of Arashima-san and Akao. It was proof positive of the dark ties between the top brass of the police and the fledgling cult. Following the closure of the case, those headlines were the talk of the town. Not even a week later, they had already started slipping out of people's minds. Senri's devoted followers were forcibly awakened to reality and returned to their normal lives after witnessing their main temple go up in flames. The stand-in leader, Yoda's body double, had escaped. Her whereabouts are still unknown. Ooh. Ooh. Is that going to come into play later? Because here's the thing. The reason why I wanted to play Cartagra, right, is because we know there's definitely some references and callbacks in Kara no Shoujo 2 that call back to Cartagra. There's some slight moments in the first game, what with like the reappearance of Yaginuma, Shugo and Kazna, Hatsune. There's some slight, bits and pieces here, right? But apparently, Kara no Shoujo 2 leans pretty heavily into the story of Cartagra from what I've been told, right? So Yoda's body double has escaped. The police have been trying to track her down, but as of yet, they haven't gotten any leads. Furthermore, the body of the true leader, Kosuke Yoda, was discovered in the mountains behind the compound, just as Shigasa Tokiko had testified. Since a few months have passed since she was buried, her corpse had started to decompose. Keiichiro, who had gone to verify that it was really her, came close to vomiting several times. I, on the other hand, chose not to go. Deep in the recesses of a second-floor hallway, there's just a room it looks like nobody ever visits. Indeed, it's the room Yoda was formerly locked up in. Light streams in from between the cracks of the boarded-up windows. Dust motes hang in the air. Apparently it was used as some sort of storage room before they imprisoned Yoda inside. It's a bleak, desolate room. I sit on the filthy bed in the corner and reminisce about Yoda.
娘のユラを探してほしい。
Come to think of it, Kosuke Keiichiro's search request was what got me involved in this whole mess. Even after I learned it was all a sham, I felt some invisible force compelling me to continue my search for Yoda. Well, that and Kazna begged me to. Besides, I harbored a desire to meet Yoda one last time. I wanted to see her and finally apologize for hurting her. However, well, I guess that won't be happening. Yoda had already been murdered by the time I had found a lead. Hell, even Kazna barely escaped the same fate. Wonder what my role in this whole fiasco ended up being. Akao Ikuma committed several murders because of me. Yoda, twisted by the flames of jealousy burning deep within, had ordered Akao to murder all those girls. If that's really how things happened, it is a heavy burden upon my heart. People who should not have died were forced to their doom. I hurt people who I should not have hurt. All this happened because I got involved. Despite all this happened, Kazna still needs me. When I went to visit her 1 week ago, Kazna started sobbing after hearing my voice. Tears dripped out from under thick swaths of bandages. Redemption. My regret and guilt will stay with me forever. Saving her life made me feel like I made a difference somehow. I have to support Kazna and be her new eyes. That lets me atone for all I've done, then. Suddenly I hear... Huh? Sound of footsteps approaching. Who could it be? Servants never come near Yoda's room. Even Keiichiro's cooped himself up in his room these last few days, giving no indication he's likely to come out. The only possibility left is Kazna, who I just left sleeping inside her room. Before long, the footsteps stop in front of the room.
おやおやシュウゴ、奇遇じゃないか。こんなところで会うなんて。
I hate you. What the? As I'm fumbling for what to say, Nana walks into the room as though she owns the place, starts rummaging through drawers on the shelves and desk. What the hell are you doing here? I can't believe you just waltzed into somebody's room without permission.
ん？ああ、大丈夫。当主の光月氏とは話がついているから。シュウゴは気にしないで、そのままほうけていればいいよ。
She keeps digging through things without even sparing so much as a glance for me. That guy actually gave you permission? You actually know Mr. Kozuki?
いや、初対面だけど。
Then how?
彼の人となりは聞いていたからね。市長の紹介状を用意してきたんだ。いや、歓迎してくれたよ。
The mayor?
もちろん偽造だけどね。まあ、シュウゴは心配しなくていいよ。かなり成功に作ったから、見破られることはまずないと思う。
I can't believe you. You even call that getting permission? Before I have time to even voice my doubts, Nana quickly changes the subject.
いやー、シュウゴとも久しぶりだね。本当はもっと早く見舞いに来るつもりだったんだけど、
No, it's fine.
僕
Take
の
your
方
time.
もいろいろと
Do not
忙しく
visit
て
me.
ね。
Do that as infrequently as possible. There we go.
内務省の知り合いを訪ねたり、薬漬けの体から毒を抜くために入院したりと、もう目の回るような日々だったよ。
Drug overdose? I barely contained my shock. You'd fall prey to some weird drug habit one day. It's no surprise given her typical lifestyle. You have a lot of opportunities for something like that to happen.
人聞きが悪いな。やっぱりってなんだよ。だいたい入院してたのは僕じゃないし。
As she continues to ransack the shelves, Nana scoffs at me.
しかし聞くところによると、随分とひどい目にあったそうじゃないか。いやいや、ご愁傷様。
I'm pretty much fine. The real problem is with Kazna, who's lost her vision.
ああ、彼女ね。大変そうなのは同意だけど、
Oh, I'm gonna kill you
彼女
now.
に関しては自業自得な面があるからね。あまり同情はできないかな。
Startled, I look up into Nana's face.
だけどシュウゴは甘ったれだから、彼女の目の代わりになって自分が支えていかなきゃとか思っているんだろう。いや、甘い甘い。思わずゲップが出てしまうよ。
Nana guffaws. Nana. I can't let this slide. Kazuna's a victim only because she got roped into this mess, not because she wanted to be. Do you realize what you're saying right now? Holding my anger in check, I glare at Nana. Depending on her answer, she may not have to pay for what she said. However,
分かってないのは君の方だよ、シュウゴ。いい加減目を覚ましたまえ。
stops rummaging around and looks straight at me. Almost looks like she's pitying me. What?
それも今のシュウゴには酷な話かな。む
She
しろ
resumes
君
her
は
search.
目を覚ましたくないのだろうから。
This time around, she looks inside a writing desk that's been left in the corner of her room. She starts speaking in a matter-of-fact tone while rooting through drawers.
だったら黙って見ているんだね。僕にしたっていつまでも死人に取り憑かれている君には我慢がならないし、だいたい君を自由に操るのは僕だけの特権なんだ。それを簡単に横取りしようなんて。
Nana suddenly stops and exclaims.
おっと発見。
She rolls around, holding a tattered old notebook in her hand.
いやいや、この部屋が当時のまま放置されていたのが幸いしたようだね。ちなみにこのノートはこの部屋の主、光月ユダが記した日記なんだ。
Hilda's diary? Nana opens it up to show me. The page is virtually packed with slender characters.
そう。これで材料が揃ったよ。この毛筆と狂気に彩られた事件を構成する最後のかけら。
Nana grins as she hoists up the filthy notebook in triumph.
さあ行こうシュウゴ。この歪んだ愛の物語にとどめを刺そうじゃないか。
Oh?